Hello and welcome to Realexcel Epilepsy Portal. In today's video, we are going to be talking about dealing with emotions in epilepsy. Just give me a second because I don't have anyone to help me today. I just want to make sure that everything is recording correctly. All right? Beautiful. Okay. So, what I like to do is I like to write my things down first because I myself, have to take some meds for my pain. So that actually does not help me in the thinking process, and sometimes it is a little bit difficult for me. So this helps me to go over the topics that I want to discuss with you. It gives you a clear picture of what we're going to be talking about, and it also helps you to understand your personal points a lot better. Okay, so feelings. We are going to be talking about feelings of all types of feelings that happen when you have epilepsy. Now, obviously, emotions, everybody has emotions, and it is difficult as it is for anyone to cope with emotions in nowadays because a lot of things are going on all the time. And this is to help you to understand a little bit, where they come from, what you can do, more than anything, what you can do to help yourself to control them better, to have a better quality of life. Okay, so a lot of people suffer from emotional roller coaster. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because my daughter Virginia, she was diagnosed with epilepsy when she was 13. And I don't know how long she had seizures. She might have had seizures when she was younger, but I was unaware of them. And, we just found out that, at the age of 13 that she started having seizures. All right. And as she was growing up, as a teenager, at which point the hormones play a huge role in getting more of in getting the emotions heightened. Okay, so you have heightened emotions in epilepsy. You have heightened emotions when puberty, when puberty gets there, it gets a lot harder. Okay, it gets a lot harder for those who have epilepsy and for those who have to deal with, because from my point of view as a caregiver for Virginia, I had a very hard time. Okay, I really had a super hard time, and anyone who has had teenage children will understand my point of view. Okay, so heightened emotions, and especially at that time, is like 100 times more, more severe than regular. All right. So Virginia had something that happened to her that was like emotional roller coaster. She would feel, at some point, she would feel, anxiety. Then she would go for depression, and all of these emotions would kind of be sometimes all at once. Okay, so she had a hard time dealing with it, and I've tried to look for help outside. We had no money to pay for, for a professional. So we kind of relied on some government help. The psychiatrist did not help her much, but she had a blend of overwhelming mood changes. Okay, and I did not know how to deal with it, so I was looking for outside help. There are community centers that offer, um, kind of like social workers, people who are already a little bit trained in that area, who would know how to better cope with your emotions, how to, what kind of suggestions they could give you to help you cope with it. Okay, the main point is, when all of this is happening, a lot of times, which I will talk about this, a lot of times the meds, the anti-epileptic meds are not helping, and they are many times the main cause in most of people with the mood swings, with sometimes extreme moods, and sometimes even dangerous. So you have to really look at what is happening to you or to your loved one, and you need to understand what it is. Okay, and uh, I will also talk about this, but you need to isolate and understand what's happening to you, or what type of emotions you have. Because if you have so many at the same time, you may not know what it is, and you may not know how to help yourself. You may not know where to get help. And those are very important pointers, that you do go out and you do get help. Okay? When Virginia had all of these emotions at the same time, she would express, or at least she would express herself, and she made a few videos, which are already actually out. A couple of them were one of the first videos on our channel, so you can search for, let's say, emotional roller coaster, or like emotional support. You just type it in the search, and then you can find them over there. Okay, so she would say that she had all these pent up emotions, and how she dealt with these pent up emotions. Okay, she would, for example, she would like to sing, she would like to dance, and I will talk about this, why she actually did that. That's her body's a natural way of dealing with it, because once you start exercising, you help your body to release stress, and this is one of the ways to help you with a lot of emotions, or whatever emotion that is going on, and it's hard to deal with. When you exercise, your body is calmer, it has better balance, so it's easier to take care of those emotions. Okay, um, so when you have epilepsy, because of things that are happening to you, because of all the chemical changes, physical changes, because of your memories, um, your um, your emotions are heightened. Sometimes they're, the most of the time they're sudden. Okay, so I'm saying this from experience, because I have watched Virginia, change from someone who was happy 1 second, and then she would suddenly be depressed. Okay, so maybe she was angry, then she would be depressed, then she would feel ashamed, then she would feel extreme sadness and low self-esteem, and all of these would be just like right there, one after another, that I was discovering, but they might have been just all at the same time. Okay, and they were changing, and this was really scary for me, because we don't when we go to school, you don't really learn how to deal with emotions, which should be which should be a subject in schools. Okay, now, if anything that you could improve in life anywhere, this is for the school boards. Have children learn how to deal with their emotions. Okay, that should be one of the subjects, I would say, every year going on, so people could learn on how to deal with their emotions. All right, or at least 1 or 2 years to learn about this. Okay, so I would like to talk about some of the emotions. All right, I did not list all of them. I would probably listed most of them. Okay, one of the biggest ones, or a couple of the biggest ones, are anxiety and depression. All right, Anxiety and depression are very popular in a lot of illnesses when they're prolonged illnesses, and people have to deal with such difficulties and such changes in their life that that they just overwhelm, and then anxiety arises from that, arises from stress, and then sometimes because they're isolated all the time, they're sick, they don't feel like going out, the depression may set in, and obviously isolation because people spend a lot of times in the four walls. If you are in that situation, you really need to find a way of how to be outside every day if you can, and push for it to be every day, so you're getting your vitamin D, and you are getting some interaction with other people in the real life, because yes, we have the media, we can talk to people on the media, yes, it's wonderful, you still need that human interaction. Okay, so some people need it more than others. I'm a type of person who likes both. Okay, and so for me, I could be here for a week and not go outside, and not, and still be happy. I can find thousands of things to do, without really stressing about it that I didn't go out. But it's not healthy, okay? So it's healthy to be outside. You're getting oxygen, obviously, more oxygen than you will in the four walls. And you are also getting the vitamin D, which is essential for your health, okay? So, isolation is a huge problem, okay? If you're going through depression, I'd like to go back to that, and I will also talk about anxiety more. If you are going through depression, you really, really need to get help, okay? Um, I'm not saying that, somebody, you have to go with the first person that you go and ask for help. You may not, it will more than likely not feel comfortable. Okay, because when people get depressed, they hide their feelings. Okay, they have these feelings inside, and they don't really want to share them, okay, with other people. Okay, they feel, they get depressed because they feel ashamed, and they feel sadness and frustration. They may be fearing something, they have low self-esteem, so they don't really want to share that, because those are all personal things, and we have been taught, usually, from little children, that we're supposed to hide these emotions, and that's not necessarily correct all the time. Okay, one thing is, you still need, when you feel emotions, um, in this case, you need to still feel them, and you need to understand what the emotion is. Okay, and why it happened, because sometimes people have these emotions, and I would ask Virginia, oh, she would not want to tell me, but she was feeling depressed all the time when she was a teenager, she was growing up. She told me like years later, that it was all the time, and after she started sharing, she actually started sharing these things with me after she started putting out videos on YouTube, okay? And she started then sharing this with me, and she would say, I've been depressed like every day, like all the time. I've been sad, and I already knew that she had a very low self-esteem, and it took years to build that up. Okay, today she feels more confident. She she sometimes she still feels depressed, but she knows how to deal with it better. Okay, so when that sets in, if you learn how to deal with it, then you can cope with it. Okay, and that's the whole point of today's video, so you can learn, you can have a few tools on how to cope with whatever is happening in your emotional life. Okay, um, getting help outside. Okay, getting help. You can get help online, which there are a lot of videos already have come out, which will be a great help. You can, get into Google Assistant, ask a few questions, like right off the bat, if you want some answers. And you can also um, go to Facebook groups, which, are popular. Facebook groups that deal with, some of them deal with anxiety and depression. Okay, I actually have, I am like managing one of the groups that talk about anxiety, depression, and mental health and stuff like that. So, you are welcome to, I will post a link below the video, and you are welcome to ask to be a member of that group. Okay. Um, what else would I like to talk about? Okay. So, isolation. So, okay, Anxiety. Uh, is something that doesn't just happen just because you have epilepsy. Okay, so it happens to a lot of other people. You may feel like you are isolated, okay, which you're not, and that you are the only one who's feeling these emotions, and you're not. There are so many people in the world who suffer from the same things. And it is as, um, I wouldn't say it's not simple. It's not simple, but it is. It depends on if you're seeking on how to make it better. If you can look for your answers, and you know what's going on with you. Let's say you know that you have depression, then you are looking for example, groups that will deal with depression. Okay, or groups that will deal with anxiety. There are a lot of government programs. There are a lot of companies that are non-profit organizations, sorry, not companies, non-profit organizations that will help people who have anxiety and depression, and they go through low self-esteem. And that's where I found help for Virginia years ago. Okay, she was suffering from PTSD, and she was going through all of these things. And she has learned some very good pointers. I have learned some things that I remember, up to this day. And when, if she has a little setback with something, sometimes, I remind her, if you want to go to sleep, don't have all your lights on in your room. Turn them off, or dim them down, and then don't stare at your phone right before you go to sleep, because those are things that are going to prevent you from producing melatonin in your body, and you will not be able to sleep. So we're going to talk about it in a few minutes. All right. Anger. I really want to address anger. Okay. I apologize. My thinking process is a little bit slow today, so you guys just bear with me. Okay. Um, anger and rage. Now, these emotions were a part of our life for quite a few years, because of the type of meds that Virginia was taking. Okay. I will name it because everybody knows it. It's Capra. And those who take it, and they take it in high doses, they know that this is one of the side effects. And it got to the point sometimes when, when she was violent, and it's dangerous for people around. So you really need to address that. I will talk about this here. You really need to address that, and you need to tweak your meds. Okay, you need to find a balance. Okay, a balance in your body that will help you to deal with these emotions, because the emotions still can come out. Whatever's happening in your life, they will still come out. The only difference is how severe they're going to be and how you're going to react to it. Okay. So we have lowered, actually, what happened, we have lowered Virginia and Scepra, and another medication was actually added to it previously to deal with her depression, and that was a citalopram, and um, she was better, okay, but at the times of her cycles, okay, which, she's a woman, so she has cycles, she was still acting out. She was still so difficult and sometimes unbearable to deal with. So it's really, really important that you guys find a balance, okay? And we found a better balance, which seems to be, actually, it's been about a couple of months since she was in the EMU and she had new prescription, and she was giving this new meds, and she's actually doing a lot better. But it seems that it's been about a couple of months, and it seems like it's been wearing down right now. So we don't know what's happening yet. Okay, 2 months, very good for now. It's a colossal change from what it used to be. And it took 13 years to find some type of balance. Okay, and it's only 2 months, so I'm not, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, as people say. All right. um, Going out, okay, going out and sharing things that are personal to you. Okay, a lot of people are ashamed when they have epilepsy. They're ashamed to talk about it. They're ashamed and scared. Okay, that's fear. They're scared that other people if they find out that you have epilepsy and that you have seizures, and that you have chronic illness, that they will abandon you, that they will, not be your friends anymore. And it's true. It's true. In many cases, people just go away and they never come back. And those people who do, they were not. Uh, they were not your friends in the first place. They were not people who would stick around in good times or bad times. Because people who don't stick around when you need help, they don't help you. They're not worth being around you. Okay, so the shame of having a seizure, let's say in a supermarket. So a lot of people, and the fear, so fear and shame after, if it happens, and then fear of having it in public, because Virginia has had so many in public, and then she's the one who has told me that she felt ashamed. She would kind of just get out of the seizure, and then she saw a whole bunch of people in the supermarket, and they were just like all looking at her, and she's, oh, I felt so ashamed. I said, never feel ashamed. Those people, they were not looking at you, for you to be shameful. They were looking at you and, trying to find out of how they can help you. Okay. So, well, that's how I look at, how can I help this person? What's going on? A lot of people don't know what's going on, so they just want to know what's going on. And most people who are there, they're not just there to watch, they're there to see if they can help, okay, in any way they can. So, um, addressing anger and rage, if you are all addressing any of these, okay, I just want to say this and just take a break from this, that anything that is happening in your life in a way that is preventing you from having a good life, okay, if it's emotional turmoil and something that is bothering you every single day, go and get some help, okay? Learn about it. Your Google is your best friend. I'm going to say it again. You go on Google, you ask questions, what it is, how you can help yourself, watch YouTube videos, go and read some good books, okay? If you can, get some funding for, to hire a professional if you can, uh, and that could help a lot as well. And sometimes you will get help from family, who can help you to get a professional as well. So ask for help, ask your family, ask friends, ask the government, ask nonprofit organizations. Go and ask for help. The first step is recognizing that you have it, okay, and the second step is acting on it. Okay, so acting on it because you want to have a better quality of life, and because you want to feel better. Okay, you don't want to feel like that all the time, right? So this the way of making a change is to make the change. You have to make that step towards it. It could be scary, okay? It's scary. People are scared of change. Everyone is scared of change, okay? So it's not just you going through this. Anyone who who has issues and they need change, a lot of times they don't want to change because they, even though if things that are happening are not really, they may not be as bad, or they may be as bad, but they still don't want to change. Okay, but if you do want that better quality of life, go and do it. Just go and do it. All right, that's it. Just go and do it. Act on it. All right. So another part of having seizures and this difficult disorder is sadness. Okay, a lot of sadness and a lot of frustration. So sometimes people are sad because they don't have as many friends, because they can't do things that they used to be able to do, and they want to do things that they may not be able to do anymore because, or at all, because of this condition. All right, so sadness is also something that is an emotion that you can work on by finding things to make you happy. Okay, Virginia has dealt with depression in her own way, and she found out the ways, and one of the ways was watching comedy. Okay, because it all depends what works for you, but laughter is one of the best medicines for depression and sadness. So watching comedy, watching funny movies. I used to watch a lot of funny comedies, like romantic comedies, whatever it is that you like. um, do it every day. Okay, if you're feeling sad, um, any of these if you have any of these emotions going on, okay, now I'm going to give you a tip. Drinking glass of water. Don't drink a liter of water because that could be dangerous, but drink a glass of water immediately. Okay, a full glass of water, and because of the molecular change of the water and the chemical, you some chemical changes will happen in your body. Okay, so that could help you either to change the mood, or to change it soon. Okay, to a different mood, the mood that you want instead of the one that you don't. Okay, so drinking a glass of water, doing some breathing exercises is a very good point. Okay, so you do, which I don't think I did the breathing here. I didn't even put down the breathing exercises. Okay, but I am gonna mention it because I know for a fact, I know from experience. Okay, so breathing exercises, proper breathing exercises for anxiety, even depression, will help you. Okay, even, well, anger and rage, when people are at that stage, it's usually already too late. You just have to let them calm down. Find a way, if you are the caregiver, find a way of how to help them calm down. Okay, now when Virginia was in those stages, she would usually just go, like, she would go nuts. She would not want me in the room, and I knew that was the like pivot point where she would have well, she would more than likely have the tonic-clonic seizure. So I didn't want to leave her room, and she wanted me to leave the room. So you can understand my point when, at some point I've learned that I left the room, but I would still be like listening. Now we got the dogs, and one of them actually always tells me when she's having seizures. So now, I let, if she wants me to leave the room, I leave the room, and uh, uh, whatever happens. But usually she learned how to, she would have a smaller seizure as opposed to having a tonic clonic, or she would just go ahead and have a tonic clonic, but then I would know that because my dog let me know, right? So that's a great thing to actually add to your family. If you have, if anyone in your family has epilepsy, is to have pets that can actually detect seizures, and they can let someone know that they are having a seizure. All right. Frustration. So frustration and dealing with it, it's a difficult it's a difficult part, because once someone gets frustrated, then it can escalate. So if from the frustration, if you don't find a solution in your brain, okay, in your thoughts, from the frustration that you're having with whatever is happening, because sometimes, you know uh, people with epilepsy don't drive, but I drive. So let's say I'm driving and somebody just cut me off, and they came like really really close, and I had some really close calls where people like almost hit my car, and dangerously injured either one of us. You get frustrated. Yeah, I did. Okay. So, and then I actually got angry. Never went to rage, but, I got really, really upset. Okay. So if you have to recognize what's happening with your body. If the danger is not there, you just let it go. If you're having an argument with someone, it is better to walk away, okay, than continue. So this is something that both of us have learned. Um, Sometimes, if you have people in your life that like to pick a fight, okay. Sorry to say that, but I had an ex who used to do that all the time, and I had to let the relationship go, okay, because uh, I didn't want my kids to grow up in that environment, and I am actually very glad that I chose that. It was a really really difficult life, to raise kids by yourself, but I chose for them not to grow in an environment where people are fighting all the time, when they were every day, and I couldn't stand it. Okay, and I said, if I can stand it, well, what about the kids? The kids are young and they're gonna be growing up watching this every day. So no, so sometimes you have, which I will also talk about, you have people who in your life who are not helping for you to get better, and even if you try, they could. um because if they don't want to change with you, or if they don't want to help you, and they don't want to come to some kind of agreement, and the changes are not gonna happen, then that's not gonna work for you. Okay, that's not gonna empower you, that's not gonna make the change that you are looking for a better quality of life. All right. Now, so let's go from these different emotions. Now if you guys want to list any of the emotions that I didn't put down, and I would really like you to share, if you can, the emotions that you go through and how they impact your life. Okay, a lot of people, they lose work because of the rage and the anger, or low self-esteem. They're not really outgoing people to go out and find a job. All right. So tell us what type of emotions that you are going through, and how they impact your life, okay, which is really important, sharing this information because other people can understand that uh, they're not alone, you know, that they're not just the only ones in the world that are going through this, all right? And if you know that, then it's easier for you to say, hey, you know, other people, you know, got through this, and other people are going through this. You know, I have enough strength to go and to go through this and make things better as well. All right. So that's the whole point of that. Now, common causes of emotional changes. Okay. So emotional changes that happen in your body. Okay. So the changes, you feel the emotions, but the emotions are usually, they could be physical, okay, they could be chemical, which are, you know, the physical things can change into chemistry. Let's say somebody, you were in public and somebody bumped into you like really really hard and they hurt your leg. A lot of people would just got angry like right away, and I'm talking about myself. I would, you know, I would get pissed off if somebody hurt me. And sorry about the word. Okay, and then the chemistry of your body changes radically right away, and you know, you're angry. And if you recognize, okay, you know, that person didn't do it on purpose, or you don't want to fight because you don't want to fight, um, those are the chemical changes that happen right away, okay? And it also depends on how you grew up, okay? And in your memory, you know, whether your emotions were shared, whether your emotions were allowed to show at home, were you allowed to show anger, or did you have to bottle all of your emotions and never show any of the emotions, okay? So everyone is different and everyone deals differently with emotions because of the way that they grew up and how they built their perception of those emotions, okay, and what happens to you, okay, and your reaction to it, what, you know, at the time, all right? So common causes of those changes, okay, the first thing which I was already going to talk about is antiepileptic meds, all right? Those are the main reason why people with epilepsy have uh, problems, okay, with, especially with anxiety, depression, well, with a lot of it, because it's not just one thing. If you have depression, you probably have depression because of the isolation, because, and then you have lowest self-esteem because of depression and isolation, and all of, you know, all of these things are intertwined. So you need to understand that these are culprits sometimes for the way, or most of the time, for the way you feel and how you feel, okay, and how your day is going to be. um, so tweaking the meds and finding a balance, okay, finding balance in this is very important. So again, I'm gonna say this, I don't like to be naming the meds, but if you're on Capra, you need to really 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 find something that's gonna help and counteract the you know, the anger and the rage that can happen as a result of taking it, all right? So next thing is sleep deprivation, all right? So I'm going to go over this. These are just like main points, and then in the future we're going to have we're going to talk, let's say, just about depression or just about anxiety or isolation, okay, or low self-esteem as well. So we will then pick a topic and then talk about it more extensively. Sleep deprivation, okay, if this is one of the huge culprits of your emotional changes, okay, if you don't sleep enough, your body doesn't get rest, your body needs to rebuild its cells, and to be healthy you really need enough sleep. And everybody has a different clock, different people need different amount of hours. Now Virginia, for years, she actually was deprived of sleep for years because of her PTSD. All right. So she did not sleep, like almost had maybe like 1 or 2 hours of sleep. And she shared that years after with me. Like I found out I took nights when she started having seizures. I started working at night. So I could, so she would be sleeping, and then, then she would go to school, but then she was like sleepy all day. Excuse me, she would still have seizures and sleepy at school. She would not be able to think properly. Obviously, one of these culprits was the lack of sleep, but because she was already going through something, okay, she was deprived of sleep. So now, we found out. I actually helped her. I said, Virginia, I think because she's been sleeping 12 hours, and when she slept 12 hours, her body, she actually felt better, and she feels really good that day. Today she didn't have enough sleep, and she looked really tired, and she was trying to convince me that everything is okay, um, but I know it's not. So sorry, mother's opinion, but I know I'm right. um, so she when she sleeps 12 hours now, she is feeling better, she's feeling stronger, she can do things throughout the day, a lot less seizures. Okay, so 12 hours is what is best for her. Okay, and you guys gotta find now, if you are trying to cut the hours, all right, your brain cells and all the cells in the body are rebuilt when you sleep. Okay, the body does not build any cells while you're awake and while you're doing things. Okay, because you need to be doing things, and you need energy for that. It happens when you sleep. So when you are cutting the time from your sleep, you're cutting the time of your body's ability to replace those damaged cells in your brain. Okay, so people who have epilepsy, obviously they have issues with the brain, and these cells and the neurons, and they need to be rebuilt in a healthy way. Okay, and the healthy way is having more sleep. So if you've been depriving yourself from sleep for, let's say, many years, or who knows how long, let your body have that extra whatever hours that you need, if you can. Okay, you could take time away from, let's say, something else, playing games or something. That 1 hour extra of sleep would benefit you a lot better than playing a game. Okay, so this is just a suggestion. You guys obviously make your own decisions, and when you do, make sure the ones that you make that empower you, okay, and help you to get a better quality of life. All right. So sleep deprivation. Now, there are ways of learning how to bring, I really want to just talk about it a little bit more, how to bring the melatonin, which is the chemical responsible for letting your body get tired and kind of, sleepy, so you can go to sleep and get a good night rest. So there are things that you can do, like, let's say, reading a book, dim your lights, don't overeat before you go to sleep, have something light within the last 2 hours, and, try and stay away from computers, laptops, and screens within at least an hour of going to sleep. Okay, that's gonna help your body, because the light affects our internal clock. The light affects us a lot. You guys gotta understand that the electronics are very, very influential in the way, and the light is very influential in our brains. Okay, we still don't understand how much and how, but there are studies now, new studies, that are showing that there are certain types of lights that influence our brain of how we feel and what's going on, how we're going to react to things. All right, so keeping that in mind, Give your brain a rest right before you go to sleep. Say your thank yous for the day. If you pray, say your prayers. Give thanks every day. It's best at the end of the day, for things that you have already have in your life, so it's like an everyday Thanksgiving. I've been trying to implement this in our life and saying, I ask Virginia, okay, please name 5 things, and I do the same. Please name 5 things that you are thankful for today. Okay? It could be for anything. Okay? For anything that you choose, no matter how silly it is. Okay? You say, for example, oh, I'm thankful for my bed. I love my bed. Like, for example, I love my bed, and I'm thankful for having a warm place to sleep. All right? So you guys say whatever it is that you are thankful for. It will help you build more self-esteem. It will help you build more um, of a feeling that you actually have something, okay? That you have something of value in your life, because you need to start understanding that your life has value, and you have people who are in your life, and more than anything, people first, okay? And then things that you have in your life that you also appreciate, okay? People, pets, I love our pets. We both do, and we are very, very grateful for that. Okay, sleep deprivation. We're gonna go to stress. So stress is also, as everybody knows, probably all of you, is one of the biggest emotional, biggest things that cause the emotional changes. Okay, and stress is one of the biggest problems, also health problems and health hazards. So if you have a lot of stress, things like having things like having a fight or flight situation, for example, like when I started having this, when Virginia started having seizures, and as it has built higher and higher over the years, and my body got to the point where now my body is sick. And it's not Virginia's fault, it's my fault, because I did not learn on how to turn off that fight or flight um, situation in my body, and I would be stressed and rigid, and be in that, actually in the tonic, all day long. And I'm talking about like all day long, not relax. So you guys, if you have stress, you got to learn how to relax every day, every single day. Take a half an hour, even if you have a super busy time, find half an hour that is just for you. You have a me time, and you find something that's gonna completely take you away from the stress. Let's say you like to play guitar, or you like to play music, or you like to like just dance, put the music and dance. Well, Virginia used to love that. Well, she still loves that. She just doesn't do it anymore. um we lived in houses most of our lives, so now we're in a building, so she can play the music at night. Okay, and I love that as well. I used to love dancing and stuff. Right now I'm in too much pain. But I still love the music, and I still love the dance. All right, so find a way of dealing with stress. Could be reading a book, could be going for a walk, which is beneficial, health wise. It's beneficial for your bones, for your body. You're getting vitamin D3, you're getting oxygen outside. You are more than likely interacting with people, or at least being outside of your four walls at home. And stress. If you do this every day, you could just go for walks, okay? Find what works for you, okay? So whether it's walking, some people like running, some people like reading, some people like painting, so playing guitar. So pick whatever it is that you like, and or listening to just relaxation music, some waves, ocean waves or rain, whatever works for you. Okay. Now, another culprit in emotional changes, and this is one of the biggest ones that people do not really pay attention to, because they're not they have not learned that this can be one of the culprits, okay, which are hormones. All right, so anyone who, especially women and even men, go through hormonal changes. They can go through hormonal changes throughout the month, okay? And everybody knows the PMS in women, okay? So at those times, hormones play a huge role on how you feel, on how you're going to react, what happens to you. All right. So we already have the antiepileptic meds. If you add sleep deprivation to it, you add the stress, and you add the hormones. Oh my God. Okay. You have so many things on your plate. You gotta learn. You gotta look at everything that happens in your life and say, hey, do I deprive my sleep? Do I not sleep enough? If I sleep for 5, 6 hours a night, that's not enough. That's not enough to rebuild your brain cells, because you want to rebuild your brain cells. If you want healthy cells, you have to sleep. Okay, that goes for any cell in your body. That goes for, people can develop other illnesses if they don't sleep enough. All right, and I'm speaking from experience as well. All right. um, so hormones, okay? Learn how to be mindful when you are at, let's say you are on the time of the cycle. Learn how to be mindful if you are going through menopause. Learn how to be mindful and understand that, whatever's happening in your body because of those changes. You will, burst out sometimes. You will feel things that normally you would not feel, or not in, not as the emotions wouldn't be as sudden and as heightened as they are. Okay. um so next thing on the list here is diet. Okay, so diet, people don't think that foods affect us. Okay, foods affect us in a huge way. All right. Now, how do you feel when you eat something that you know that's bad for you, and you still eat it, and then you feel really, really bad afterward? Okay, and then your body feels bad, and then usually, the emotions follow. Okay, so because everything that we eat and everything that we drink, even everything that we smell, okay, these are all chemicals that affect our bodies and our brains. So you need to understand that the food that you eat is, first of all, a building block for your cells to rebuild your cells. If you're eating healthy foods and molecularly correct foods to build healthy cells, then that's what your body's gonna do. Okay, if you are eating a lot of junk food, then obviously your body is gonna just produce junk cells, because you can't grow apples from oranges. All right, it's not gonna happen. So you guys need to understand that part, that eating raw foods, okay, raw healthy foods. You also have to be careful because there's a lot of pesticides. Make sure you wash your foods when you eat them. If you're buying produce, wash it really well. Make sure that it's, from a source. Always check online. Sometimes people, they think they're eating spinach, they think they're eating healthy, and then, there's like some E. coli outbreak and stuff like that. So you also have to watch out for those things. And I think it was last year we got like, I got like two, or I think I bought like 3 bags of a lettuce. This was like one of those longer lettuce. I forgot the actual name for it. But we got both very sick, like super, super sick, me and Virginia. And uh, washed it well, and it was because, and then there was a recall, and they've put all over the media, newspapers, and everywhere that lettuce from those farms and from that part was not good to eat, right? But you already paid for it. So, um, eating healthy foods, make sure that you don't take intake neurotoxins, okay? So, neurotoxins would be aspartame, okay? The sweeteners, you think you're doing yourself a favor by not putting sugar, you're actually doing more damage by not eating the sugar and eating the sweeteners than if you actually ate the sugar, okay? The best sugar, if you must use it, is the brown sugar, which is the healthier one. And I don't know who keeps on touching my door. Virginia, is that you? Sounds like somebody's at the door. Weird. Um, so yeah, so excessive amounts of sugar are bad for you, okay? And they're gonna affect your chemistry in the body. That is not good, all right? Excessive amounts of anything, especially if you have epilepsy. I told Virginia, you gotta change your diet. You gotta um, watch out for any extremes, okay? So let's say you don't eat food that's too hot, and I know that affects her in a big way. She denies it all the time, and she still has and pays with seizures afterward. uh, but that's a personal choice. If you don't want to give up something, it's still gonna give in, and things are gonna happen, all right? Anything in excess, so too much salt, too much of anything will affect your body, and it will affect your brain as well at the same time. All right, healthy foods. Make sure that your food is, that you have a variety. Um, Check yourself for any deficiencies. So let's say you have magnesium deficiency or something, and a lot of people who have epilepsy, they do, okay? And magnesium is usually absorbed by the skin, but you can also eat at the same time. You can buy foods and eat those foods that are high in magnesium. And if that's the case, then you should educate yourself and find out which foods are high in magnesium, which foods are high, let's say, in vitamin D and protein. And it does not necessarily mean it's meat. So if you're vegan, there's a lot of fruits and vegetables, actually vegetables that are very high in protein, okay? So, and legumes, nuts as well, are very healthy. Okay, drink is very important, okay? So I will say this, I mentioned it in one of my previous videos about drinking soda pops, all right? Very, very bad. It's one of the biggest damages that you're doing to your body. Soda pops are super toxic. They are very acid to your body, okay? And you need to, I don't know how many gallons of water you have to drink to actually wash out one soda pop out of your body. So, guys, you really need to educate yourself. If you are a person who drinks soda pops, I would strongly suggest that you find an alternative. Okay, an alternative that does not include any coloring in your food. Okay, coloring and in your food or drink is unhealthy, okay, unless it's like, let's say, beets, something is pink or red because they colored it with natural beets, that's a different story. But if it's colored in anything that is artificial coloring, then it's very unhealthy, and it's really bad for your body, okay? um, so drinking water, spring water. If you, let's say you are at the point and that you can't really afford pay for the water, like some places will have, or some stores will have it like really cheap. You can, let's say, buy a case of 24 bottles for like $1.50 or something, or a dollar, or a couple of bucks. All right, if you can do that, then go ahead. Plastic may not always be best, but I mean, we do the best we can. All right, and if you cannot buy water, then I would suggest that you boil your water. Okay, that you take from the sink, or get a filter. And if you don't have a filter, boil your water and then freeze it. Okay, uh, it's the best way, especially in the time of when people start having colds and stuff like that. The boiling kills the bacteria, and the freezing kills the viruses. All right, so that is one point that I wanted to give you, because adding any type of illness to what you already have is really difficult. It's you're already dealing with so much. You don't want to be adding any other types of illnesses. When I know when Virginia got sick, she had a really bad pneumonia last year. Okay, and she was really sick, and I was really concerned because the seizures, and she had to deal with that. And I was scared to sleep because I was always listening to if she's breathing well, she was coughing and stuff like that. So yeah, there's medications, and you also have to be careful what you give, because everything has to be okay with what she was already taking. So you got to be careful with that. Okay. So next thing on the list for emotional changes, what the causes are. One of them is PTSD. PTSD is a huge thing because people associate PTSD with going out, with military and stuff like that, but that's not always the case. Okay, PTSD can happen with people who had some kind of things going through in their life that happened to them, and they were victims of that. And PTSD can be a huge thing and a huge issue for them. Um, that would also cause a sleep deprivation, okay, which is one of the biggest things. Stress. Once you add the meds, the hormones, and the bad diet, oh, it's really so overwhelming that it's really difficult to deal with. And that's why you need help. That's why you need some kind of guide, and also try different things. If you find out that reading a book every night before going to sleep is helping you to fall asleep faster and you have a better sleep, then that's what you should do. Okay, sometimes it's just trial and error. And to change your habits, let's say from watching or playing games right before you go to sleep, and then you stay up for another 3 4 hours because you can't fall asleep. Okay, because you just excited your brain to the point where your brain does not want to sleep. All right, so one of them is the screen, and the other one is the excitement before you're supposed to be already um, letting your body like calm down and get ready for bed. Okay, so that's usually dim lights, not too much excitement, like no dancing and stuff and doing crazy things. All right, just relaxing things, listening to relaxing music. You could, if you want, you could play a guitar, whatever it is. You could paint or do whatever it is that makes you feel good, and that will help you to relax before you go to sleep. All right. uh Mental health conditions. Okay, so this I'm not gonna get into it too much. I just wanted to mention it because there are so many different conditions that have they all have names, and they usually all have how to different types of treatment. So I don't want to get into that right now. Maybe at some point in the very far future, because I really don't have a lot of information on that part. So before I do make a video, I would really take my time to learn about this. Okay. um, And next thing on the list is negative people in your life, okay? Then they can be huge causes, or even sometimes the only cause of your emotional changes, and what happens, how your day starts, okay? They could ruin your day right from the when you wake up, okay? Somebody's sleeping next to you, let's say, or you call your friend that you've been calling for them, your friend for a long time, but in the core you know that this person is really not that good for you. That they do negative things that always result in negative, that you feel bad, after you spend time with them, and you feel bad when you're around them, uh, and because they're probably or maybe your only friend, you're still friends with them because of it. So really pay attention to negative people. Negative people at home. Sorry to say that, but yes, it happens. Negative people at work, okay? Negative people at school, and you're gonna run to negative people on the street. You go to a grocery store, you could, I live in the area now, where because of our finances have dropped so ridiculously low, we live in the area where it's like a ghetto area, okay? So there's a lot of those people here, okay? You gotta watch, if you do, you gotta watch your behavior, you gotta watch how you respond, you gotta watch your reactions and your emotions, okay? If you have epilepsy, because you don't want to get into stressful situation where, if you're having a fight with someone, that you would have start having a seizure, and they're not going to help you because they're already angry with you and stuff like that. So negative people, if you can, um either try to make as little time as possible to spend with them, okay? Or eliminate them completely, okay? Remove them from your life if you can, okay? If you have a friend who or a person who is in your life and they're constantly making you feel bad, then it's best to let it go. All right. So resulting in self-destructing behavior, seeking immediate help. So any of these emotional changes, okay? If anything is happening in your life, I really wanted to put that here because a lot of people are dealing with emotions and they don't know how to cope with the emotions, okay? It's just too much, okay? The blend of overwhelming mood changes, the roller coaster, the pent up, the frustration, anger, and all of these things could happening at the same time, and sometimes they result in self-destructing behavior. Okay, if or when you get to that point, you have to seek immediate help. Please, please go and ask someone for help. Okay, if the first person doesn't help you, you keep on asking. Okay, you keep on asking for help, and you keep on asking whoever you can, because I have learned in my life that sometimes, because I did not have my family here with living with me, and so I was the only person who provided for the family, and I was the only one who had to fight the fight of life. So, and I was the only person who would counsel myself on, things to improve in my life. So I would always look for the ways to improve things. And um, you need to get help at times. Okay, when you do need help and you feel like you can't deal with things, you go and get that help. All right. um Now, so I don't know, I have to find out how much of this can be discussed on YouTube, because they are actually implementing a lot of changes on things that you can talk about. So I'm not sure if I can talk about it on the YouTube channel. So if I do, I will let you guys know in the future. And if you are not subscribed, most of people who watch our channel, almost 80% are not subscribers, okay? So if you guys are not subscribed and you are watching our videos, I highly recommend that you do subscribe, that you like the videos, because when you like the videos, it's showing YouTube that, you know, you found value in the videos. And if you share them, this is the best thing that you can do for epilepsy awareness, and to help others to find our channel, and others to come to our channel, and then you can chat with them in the chat room, okay? You can meet them and exchange information, okay? It's a great way of meeting new people that are alike, that go through something similar in their lives, and that can sometimes help you to find answers that you're looking for. All right. um so you gotta sometimes, if you are if you are a caregiver, you gotta watch for this, okay? In the person that you caring for, you really got to watch for this. Make sure that, especially when they're teenagers, you know, check their arms, check their legs. They could be doing, you know, who knows what. You know, if they start looking weird, and you know, you may suspect drugs, you know, you got to find out, okay? You got to look further, you got to push and make sure that, you know, they're not hurting themselves, okay? Because both of those things will hurt them. And you know, it can be very, very bad. So I strongly suggest that even if you are a caregiver, that you seek help, and that you uh, present it to the person who needs it in the way of you wanting to, you know, to help them to improve their life, okay? Now sometimes it's difficult, all right? Especially teenagers are difficult, but you know, that's one thing that you got to do. If you love them, and then you need to keep on trying until you convince them to go ahead and make the changes. So when Virginia was going through her depression, and she was going through all of these things, okay? She was going through all of this, okay? So when these things were happening, as I found out that there is Epilepsy Toronto in Toronto, okay? So you probably have an epilepsy community in your area, and you need to find out who it is. If you are not a member, if you don't go and, let's say, have like family or group discussions that are usually in your age group and in your interest group, all right? And after Virginia started going there, she right now, she doesn't want to, like, she doesn't want to mess. They only have, which is probably not much. They used to have it weekly. Now they only have it like once a month. Okay, they have a group, and she doesn't want to miss it, even for anything. So she will work around her schedule and make sure, even if she's not feeling well, I would drive her like all the way to the east end of Toronto, which is really far, to make sure that she makes it there. Okay, and that she spends time with people who are in her age group, sorry, and people who are talking about the issues that, you know, that she's going through, and this can help her in her, and help her to learn how to deal with some of the emotions and some of the things that you guys are going through, okay? um, Next thing is habitual learned behavior, okay? So a lot of emotions, okay, some of the emotions can be a habitual learned behavior, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say that because I have learned um, an emotion from my father, okay? When I was living with him for a few years, and I have learned this behavior. So that's why I'm saying, if you live with negative people who are not helping your life, you will learn bad things from them, and you will apply them in your life, and they will not empower you, okay? So a habitual learned behavior, if you know that you learn some kind of behavior from somebody, or because you were living with them you develop that behavior, or whatever, you have a habit of some type of behavior, let's say anger, okay, you gotta go for anger management, guys. You gotta go, okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not something that should make you feel ashamed. It's a great thing, because if you learn how to address this, the quality of your life is gonna increase colossally. All right. So unlearn the behavior, okay. Learn a different behavior. How it works is, if you have a habit of anything, any type of habit, it usually takes anywhere from 30 to 60 days, let's say, to get rid of that habit, okay. So let's say somebody has a habit of what could I find the best example? Okay, of eating some type of, let's say, foods in the morning, okay, that are really, really bad for them, and it's making them sick every morning, but they still go and eat it because it's a habit, because their mother taught them that this is what they have to have for breakfast. For whatever reason, it's a habit that does not empower you, okay. So it takes about 30 to 60 days, and sometimes more if it's for habitual and behavior, for emotions, to form new habits, okay. So you gotta practice every day. You practice every day the new habit, that you have to replace it. You cannot remove the habit, okay. You need to replace it with a good habit. So let's say somebody's driving, I'm driving and somebody cuts me off, and suddenly I get angry, okay. Habitual learned behavior from my father, okay. And because I did not behave like that before that, and I know where I got it, and I know why I got it, and I have learned how to deal with it, okay. Because you need to apply mindfulness. You need to understand that, this person just drove like that because they drove like that. It's not your fault. You had nothing to do with it. All right. And blaming yourself, getting angry, it's not gonna help you. It's not gonna empower you. It's not gonna do anything good for you. All right. So working on any of these that are like the biggest problems in your life, it's start with one. Is the best thing that you can do for yourself. All right. What is the strongest? Okay, so this is what I wanted to say. For you to find out and ask yourself, okay, you can list the emotions that, let's say, put it in your journal, or on a piece of paper. It's best if you have a journal where you can write things down, and where you can learn from. In the future, you could read it back and say, oh, wow, I have made a lot of changes in my life. And the only way you're going to know that is if you had a journal, and if you wanted to make the changes, if you wanted to improve your life, and what was happening to you in the past. Sometimes memory is not as good because of the antiepileptic meds. So having a journal and learning from it, and writing things down, like, what is the strongest single emotion that affects your life and this empowers you, okay. So you write down the emotions, and then you pick one, which one is the strongest, because you got to start with one, okay. If you start trying to address all of these at the same time, and you practically have like no information on how, it's not going to happen. This is just going to be overwhelming. It's going to be too much, and it's not going to happen, okay. So pick one, okay. um let's say it's depression, let's say it's anxiety. So pick one, isolate it, and work on it until you learn how to control it. Okay? You have to practice mindfulness, practice relaxation, whatever it is that you need to help you get, to learn how to cope with what's happening to you. All right? Okay, next thing on the list here is, what can you do? So, what can you do to make the improvements? All right, you if you want to, you need to address the chemical imbalance in your body, okay? Because the chemical imbalance, like I said, I already explained it before. It could start as a physical, it could be something as a memory, and then the memory, because you felt bad about it and because you had certain perception, it changes the chemistry of your body, and that's why you feel bad, okay? The emotions emerge, and if you add bad eating habits, and you add a whole bunch of things like antiepileptic meds and all other things, and bad drinks and colas, then it's a mess, okay? And you don't want that. All right, so first thing I would suggest is improve your sleep. Improve your sleep. If you know, and if you do not sleep enough, okay? If you have a hard time falling asleep, learn how, okay? um, Learn how to fall asleep faster. Learn how to kind of start calming down in the last hour. Just do relaxing stuff as opposed to doing stuff that stimulates you. And learn how to sleep. Add hours to your sleep, okay? I have mentioned it before. I'm just going to mention now, if somebody just started watching this, that your body, the body cells only regenerate when you sleep, okay? They do not regenerate when you're up and around and doing a whole bunch of things. So you want a good brain, you want a better body. This is how it happens. You sleep more, okay? And you see, you have a good sleep, all right? Uninterrupted, with no lights on. You got to turn off your lights. If you sleep with all the lights on, your body's melatonin is not at the level it should be, and you really, really need, a better environment. So if it's really loud, maybe you could find a little bit of those softer earplugs. You could put them in your ears so it can help you sleep, all right? Whatever it is, not preventing you from going to sleep, or if it's, things that are going in your mind that are preventing you from going to sleep. So obviously, there's some emotional turmoil over there that you need to address, and you really got to work on that, okay? Next thing is diet, okay? Chemical imbalance. I was already talking about the diet. Everything you eat, everything you eat is it makes produces chemical changes in your body. All right, um, to no, to feed you, to produce the energy. Okay, to produce the energy and to rebuild your cells. Okay, so if you are eating healthy foods that are molecularly correct, like as water is correct for your body, uh, and no other drink. Juices are not natural, okay? They don't exist in nature, except for coconut juice, which is, or water, which is very healthy. So I highly suggest coconut water if you guys can. Young coconut, if you can afford to get young coconut every day, I highly recommend eating the young coconut and drinking the young coconut water, all right? And avocados and anything else that, let's say, you go and check yourself for any deficiencies, and you find out that you need more protein or you need more iron. You gotta address those things, because there could be some other underlying problems to your epilepsy, and you may not know about it, okay? Sometimes if you remove the culprit, you remove the problem. So address as many improvements as you can, and one of the first one, the most important ones, is the sleep and diet, okay? Tweak your meds, all right? Tweak your meds. If you know that what you're taking is causing you act, and it started since you started taking it, you gotta go back to your neurologist, and tell them, this is what is happening. I cannot function. Or like Virginia, at one point, she could not think at all. She would be a total zombie, because her, it was just too much. It was just making her a zombie. All right. So, and a lot of you know what I'm talking about. A lot of you do. So, address that. Talk to your neurologist. Maybe more than likely, if you are feeling like that, it's because you're taking too much. Remember that antiepileptic meds are just as good as, to the point where they help you, okay, to either completely stop the seizures or to help you control and having less seizures. If they're not, because Virginia had a retractable epilepsy for years, all right, and none of, we've changed so many times, and none of it was helping. Okay, so you got to really work on that. If it's not working for you, change. Make sure that the change is not radical, that you don't completely stop at once. Absolutely not. You always talk to your neurologist, because if you are changing, you need to go gradually. You go down and then gradually build your other meds that you're starting on. Okay, that's very important. Okay, don't ever decide that you're just gonna stop, or because then bad seizures can, really bad seizures can happen. Okay, practice mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Relaxation techniques, stress. So for stress, relaxation techniques, practice them every day. You could do, you could do things like, if you're feeling like anxiety and stuff, you could either have a glass of water. It's gonna help you to, not at the time when you like really, really breathing fast, but you could learn how to change your breathing in a way that's going to help you to control the anxiety. You can learn how to apply the mindfulness and ask yourself at the moment when you are feeling whatever it is that you're feeling, why are you feeling it? Ask yourself, why are you feeling this? Is it worth it? Okay? Is it worth it? Does it give you a better quality of life, what you're feeling? All right, you can just completely, if you can get to the point where you completely dismiss the feeling. If you do it every day, after 30 to 60 days, I'm pretty sure that that feeling is not gonna keep on coming back every day. Okay, it may still emerge, and as it emerges, you got to work on it again, but you got to find a way that works for you. So I'm not saying this is the way how it's going to work for you. You got to find your own way, because everyone is different, everyone's perception is different, everyone's body works differently. So and we all think differently. Okay, so practicing mindfulness, what it means is, let's say, again, going to my example, going to let's say I'm walking on the street, and somebody calls me a name. uh what's the first reaction? First reaction is mine. Okay, some people could feel sad, ashamed, whatever. Now mine would be, I would get really pissed off. Okay. I would. Okay, and like, who are you to call me names? All right, but I'm gonna think, why are they calling me names? Who are they? Like, then I think the mindfulness is that voice that you have inside of you. You say, who say that saying? That person is like nobody, or if they are somebody, who cares? I know who I am. I know my value, and I don't need anybody telling me, otherwise. All right. So once you build your self-esteem, when you build your self-esteem, and you learn how to deal with it, because this is not. This is, I had this. I grew up with this, and for many, many years, I had very low self-esteem. Okay. So and that prevents you from having a lot of uh, that prevents you from having a better quality of life. So low self-esteem is a real thing, and you guys gotta, if that's governing your life, you gotta learn how to make changes. How to, let's say, start exercising, or whatever it is that works for you, that's gonna make you feel better and stronger about yourself. You gotta do it. All right. Um, So relaxation techniques. Oh, okay, there it is. Exercise. Okay, so exercise is one of the best, stress reducing things that you can do. Do the exercise uh, will that is right for you. Okay, you need to do the exercise that is right for just you, depending on your condition, on how severe are your seizures, what type of seizures you have. Is someone there at home or in a room with you while you're doing some exercises that you know that you used to do? Like if you have seizures where you can get injured, then it's best to do exercise when someone is at home, when someone's, kind of present, and making sure that you don't get hurt. Okay, so you can still exercise. You can do stretches. You can do walking is a great exercise. Okay, people think that they need to be running to be healthy. Not true. Okay, you can do walking. You can do a lot of walking. It's very healthy. Gets you the vitamin D, gets you the oxygen, gets your body moving in your lymphatic system, and you're healthier. And that, at the same time, it helps you to deal with all of these emotions, because then your body has more balance. Okay, so these emotions are not as severe as they would be if you're not exercising. All right, so if you guys presently not exercising, you have a lot of these emotions pent up. Exercise, doing fun things, dancing, I don't know what it is that you like, it's all good for you. Okay, and always remember that it has to be something that that is okay with you and with the type of seizures that you have, right? Because I would not recommend anyone going swimming if they have seizure disorder. All right, by themselves. Drink clean water. What do I mean by clean water? Clean water is not water from the tap. As I already mentioned before, if you have no money to purchase the water or to go to the springs, there is a website called findaspring.com. Okay, findaspring.com, and you can go to that website and it will show you where there are springs the nearest to you. And I think this is all over the world. Most of them are in the States and Canada, because this is something that people can actually add, I think, to the locations of the springs. And this is all natural spring water. So we have been getting natural spring water for the last 3 years. It has colossally changed the amount of calcium that Virginia had in her body, because she was always low on calcium. And we had this water for 3 years. She's been okay with calcium. Okay. She still had very brittle bones because she was not taking vitamin. She was not outside. She was indoors for like over a year. And maybe throughout the year, she probably came out of the house maybe 10 times. All right, so less than once a month. Okay, that is very unhealthy. The vitamin D deficiency caused her bones to be brittle, and she broke the bones of both of her legs, in both of her legs. And she could not walk for a couple of months. So really address your health in a way that's gonna benefit you for feeling better emotionally and physically. Okay, because if you feel better physically, usually emotions follow. All right, um, and that's why drinking clean water is important. Again, if you don't have the money, and you need to use tap water, boil it and freeze it if you can. Boiling kills the bacteria, freezing it kills the viruses. All right, address PTSD and emotions from the past. Okay, we have learned behavior, we learned how to deal with things as our lives go on, and we develop certain perception about how things should be or how things are. Okay, so two people could be looking, let's say, at the same scene, all right, even from like almost the same angle, and they would see two different things. Why? because of their perception. So your emotions from the past. So anything from the past, what you have learned, let's say you got hurt in the past, and you have PTSD, that will influence your life in a huge way. Okay, so if you suspect that you may have PTSD, then you obviously you want to find out if you actually do. Okay, and if you think that emotions from the past are haunting you, and let's say you had a really bad relationship and now you can't find the relationship that you're looking for, you have to find what the problem is. Okay, let's say you're going after a certain type of personality in a relationship and that's not really working for you. You could have a certain perception about who you need, but that may not be the right perception. Okay, so reevaluate, educate yourself. More than anything, you gotta educate yourself on everything that you do. Okay, so educate yourself on whatever it is going on in your life. um, Seek answers. Ask Google questions. There's Google Assistance. There's assistance on your different type of smartphones, and different you have. I think like myself personally, I use Google and I love it. So that's what I recommend. All right. Seek help from professionals if you guys can afford, or if you can get help from the government to get some help from professionals. Let's say um, psychiatrists can be paid by some of the government will pay for the psychiatrist visit, but psychiatrist is usually all about just giving you a prescription. Okay, so if you need a prescription, you go for that. If if you need work on you are seeking a psychologist, or you are seeking someone who has learned about a little bit about or a lot about social life. So I think they call them social workers and stuff like that, who are very good. You could just ask around, ask communities, ask the nonprofit organizations. I know years ago I was looking for help. There was, I don't know if they're still around, they probably are. It was, I think, Women's Health or something, or Women's Help. And so there's help for women, there's help for different types of issues that are going on in your life, and one of them is, let's say, epilepsy communities in your area. Okay, so you have help with the local epilepsy communities, and you will have help with, let's say, online communities, which are also a good emotional buffer for those of you, let's say, who cannot be outside a lot or who have a problem of being outside. So those are very good ways of reaching out to people, talking to people, and getting some answers that you are looking for. All right. um, so if you cannot afford professionals, then um, psychologists are very good for that. Like, I know that I only been able to hire a psychologist, or I only hired psychologists once in my life. Um it was a great experience. It has helped me to make changes in my life that I needed, even just from one visit. Okay, and all you have to do is look around, look for something that you can afford. Sometimes one visit is enough to help you to make the changes that you need in your life. Okay, um, Virginia's best. Okay, which is, I suggested that years ago to her, because when she was depressed and she had a low self-esteem and sad, I would tell her to go, to watch funny stuff. So at the beginning, there was resistance. Okay, And then she started watching them and she loved it. And then, whenever I saw her, sometimes you forget, that you're feeling that way, or you're just so much, you're just feeling like that. Because you've been feeling like that all day, you completely forgot about, watching comedy and stuff. So if you have somebody in your life who can tell you, hey, you know what, why don't you watch some comedy? Let's watch it together. Let's have some laughs. You can watch a comedy channel, funny shows, funny home videos, funny pets, cats, and dogs, and stuff like that. Okay, so there's a lot of things that are gonna make you laugh, and a lot of things are gonna make you smile, and they're also gonna help you change your mood, because like I was talking about how habitual learned behavior, okay? If you are habitually and all the time depressed, this is what keeps on, your brain is keeps on reinforcing this behavior, and you don't want it, okay? So you got to start learning and applying different habits, okay? If you start watching comedy a lot, it will help you to feel differently. It will, once you laugh, once you start laughing, you're not going to be depressed anymore because you're laughing. You cannot, okay? If you start laughing, you cannot be depressed at the same time. Just take my word for it and then try it, all right? Stay away from negative people. So this is one of the last things that I wanted to say. One of the last things, not the last. Okay, so stay away from negative people. I am sad to say that there were two people in my life that um, I had to stay away from, and I moved away from, and this was the best decision. Those were people that if I just let the life flow the way it came on to me, then I would still be there and feeling trapped and feeling miserable and feeling sad and angry all the time and frustrated and who knows what, and what, where I be today. But I have chosen to move away from those people because I knew that it was not empowering my life. I wanted better in my life, even though I didn't conquer the world yet. Even though I didn't conquer the world, I have learned that letting those people go and moving away from them will give me the freedom and opportunity to look for my own ways of developing my own habits and learning my own way of life. Okay. So like I said, when you're living with people who have really bad habits and who are always negative, you will learn those negative habits and you will be applying them in your life in less time than you think. Okay, so if that's your case, if you're married to one of them, I'm not telling you to go, and get a divorce right away. But you gotta, sometimes you gotta really have a good look at your life, and and make decisions, a wise decisions, okay, not based on the whim of the moment, because especially if you have epilepsy, you have seizures, you're going through all these things, and you're going through a super difficult illness, that's making you sick all the time, and affecting your life in every way. It may be super difficult to to let someone go who is actually not really helping you, but you feel that they're helping you, or they're there physically but they're not there emotionally. Whatever reason, you guys have to have a support system, and it's ultimately always your own decision of who that you're going to be living with, and who you accept in your life. And sometimes you're stuck with that kind of person because you have nowhere else to go. So try to have the me time, okay? Try to have as much me time as possible if you are living next to a person who's negative. And in those me times, let's say you've been spending all the like time together, then in the me time you would just say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go to, like, so let's say, spend some time in the living room, give me some space. I kind of just want to paint or whatever, and I want some quiet because it's gonna help me relax and stuff like that. So work on those things, okay? Work on the ways of you being apart from that person for the time being, because when you are apart at that time, your mind is going to be more relaxed, okay? So you're going to learn, you're going to feel better, okay? You're going to reinforce your brain, that you are feeling better, and this is a new habit that you can start, developing, of actually feeling better, okay? And that is the whole point of today's video, um, today's live stream, is on how you can feel better, how you can find and the ways of making yourself feel better. Okay, so choose. I would suggest, okay, because like I said, if you try to work on all of this at the same time, from past experience, it's not gonna happen. Okay, choose one to work on and start immediately. All right, so choose one thing you want to work on. Let's say you want to address anxiety or depression or any of these, or you feel that because all of this is happening because you have too much stress, okay, or because of sleep deprivation, okay. So you could address, let's say, sleep, stress, and diet, and drinks. You can address that, and right away, okay. Those are the things that you can address simultaneously to help you deal with these problems, all right. um, so pick, let's say, okay, well, how am I going to deal with stress? Well, first of all, I'm going to sleep more, okay. The stress is going to be lower. You're going to exercise. You're going to help lower the stress level. You're going to have a better diet. Don't drink soda pops. Your stress level is going to go down. So those are the things that you can do, okay. Learn how. Ask Google a lot of questions, all right. You have YouTube. You have professionals if you can afford them, because money is scarce usually for a lot of people who have epilepsy. Ask Google, ask YouTube, watch the videos, and read books, okay. And also go online, which I didn't put down here, okay. Go online. You can join groups. There are support groups online on Facebook, and we have one for epilepsy. So it's called Realexcel Epilepsy Portal. We have a page and we have a private group. So the page is just like for us to put information out on anything that we can think of. And then epilepsy support group is for people who have epilepsy, for the families, friends, and anyone who actually wants to learn more about epilepsy. Okay, for that you ask to be a member. All right, so that's it for today's video. um, Thank you for joining. I'm sorry I did not have a moderator today. Tomorrow we will meet with Virginia and we will talk about seizures, okay? We will pick one type of seizure and we're going to be talking about that type of seizure. And I think she wants to talk about the atonic seizures, which are drop seizures, and she can speak about it from experience, about things that have happened to her because of those seizures. Actually, worst, um, some of the worst accidents that she had happened when she had those drop seizures. Okay, so a lot of people who have them, we're gonna cover that tomorrow, but they have to they should wear a helmet if they fall on their face. So it's different for everyone again, even though if you have the same type of seizure, everybody's experience is different, because everybody's body is different and everybody's body acts differently. All right, thank you for being with us today. Again, like, subscribe, and share. there is a bell button that you press right besides subscribe button, okay? Which will you, if you press on it, it will show you what kind of notifications you want. You put all, so this way any of the new videos or anything that we post on our community tab, Google will let you know, and if you are interested, you can come and join us for that, okay? What else? Uh, yeah, so tomorrow at 7 o'clock, make sure you join us for the seizure discussion with Virginia. And I will probably be doing something on Sunday, and I'm gonna let you know in our community tab what is gonna be happening on Sunday. Okay? Lots of love to all of you, and see you next time.